Hi class, today we're going to be practicing some techniques with colored pencil. So the first thing you're going to do is on a piece of paper from your sketchbook, we're going to sketch out 8 squares. They don't have to be perfect, but you may want to go ahead and go 4 down so you don't run out of room. Okay, and then another column. So you should have 8 squares, rectangles, boxes, whatever. I've went ahead and labeled mine in Sharpie just so you can see what they are as we go. Okay, so we're gonna go pretty extensive into colored pencil as that is a very common media that you're gonna be using in a lot of your projects. So you should have hopefully 8 or so colored pencils that came in your packet. Hopefully you have kind of every main color plus white and black. If you don't and you're unable to do one of these for some reason, just make sure you let me know. But we tried to make sure you got every color. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is pick one of my colors. So I don't know, I'm feeling kind of purple today. So purple is pretty nice and dark, so we'll try that one. And the first thing we're doing is a gradient, which I have also taught you is a value scale. So we're gonna go from light to dark, something we've done several times at this point. So I'm gonna press pretty hard with my pressure, okay? And you can use the tip or the side of your pencil, it's really up to you. And we're gonna get lighter in value by letting up on the pencil. Now, I can always go back in and darken my values, but colored pencil doesn't really erase, as you might be aware. So I kind of left my middle value light on purpose so that I can come back in and darken it up a little bit. And it doesn't always have to be pressure that makes it dark. When it comes to colored pencil, the more you go over it, the darker it's gonna get. Because if you press too hard, sometimes you might break your pencil. Okay, so I'm getting some nice values there. Okay, there's a couple light versions, there's a couple medium versions. Okay. All right, so that's a gradient of value scale. We've done it before. What we're gonna do next is burnishing or blending. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and make a little value scale, a gradient. And again, you can always come back and darken things up, but you can't really lighten them up with colored pencil. Okay. Now, that's pretty smooth already, but as you know from blending with pencil and with oil pastel, we can smudge this and make it smoother. One new tool you could use is an eraser. So you could use a mechanical pencil, or you can just use a traditional pencil. And I can use this eraser, and it might take a little bit of the color out, but it will kind of blend it, okay? Or if you don't like all those little, scruffies that you get, you can always just use a paper towel, which is what is my usual preference, is gonna be a paper towel. So I'm just going to blend those together, and they're gonna get kind of shiny as we work at it. And so I can blend my colors together, making them a little softer and hiding some of the lines that I created. Hopefully you can see that that one is softer than this one. Okay, next up, we're gonna try some new things. So we're gonna take a gradient, and we're gonna add white to it. And so we're gonna kind of blend the colors, something that we have practiced when we did color to color with our oil pastel the other day. So I'm going to start by pressing dark over here on the left-hand side, and I am using quite a bit of pressure. One thing you always wanna make sure of is that your area is clean. I just made this little dark dot right there because there was a piece of eraser underneath my paper, and so it kind of shows up. It's probably happened to you before, but it's a good little reminder to make sure you've got a clean space you're working with so you don't end up with unintentional marks. Okay, so I'm kind of lightening up on the pencil, and showing some value change. Okay, now I'm gonna do is take my white and I'm gonna start over here. And what's gonna happen is these colors are gonna mix just a little bit. And so we're gonna get kind of a lighter purple. So this is another way you could kind of get some lighter values. And so I kind of blended these colors together. You could also try this with gray if you'd like. Okay, but I can layer white on top of another color to get kind of a different version of it. Hopefully you can see that in your version. And it kind of just depends on the brand of the pencils too, on how soft they are and how well they'll blend. But hopefully you can see there's kind of a new white color, a new purple that's on top of this white. Okay, we're gonna try it with black this time, so it should be easier to see. Now, instead of using purple, because it's a pretty dark color, I'm gonna switch here. You don't have to if you don't want to, but you can. I'm gonna use orange because it's pretty bright, and that way you can see the colors. Plus, it's almost October, so a little Halloween fun. Okay, so I'm gonna use black first this time. And I'm layering down some color here. All right, get my medium value there. And then I'm gonna start with the orange over here. So I'm pressing hard, and then they're gonna start to mix. So this is similar to color, but we're doing it with black and white, so we can get different values of our gradient. So kind of mixing it up a little bit, trying out some similar ideas, but slightly different. Okay, that's a very bright orange, isn't it? Okay, so gradient with white, it's kind of hard to see. If you want to try it with a different color, you can. Gradient with black, okay? All right, now we're gonna come down and practice a really important skill, which is called a gradient plus a highlight, okay? Or basically making something look shiny, alrighty? So I'm going to, I think I'll just switch back to my purple because you can see that pretty well. So I'm going to start on the edges here, and I'm gonna press with some pretty good pressure to get a nice dark or medium value. And again, I can always come back and layer on top of my colors to make them lighter or darker. Okay, now I'm going to start coming towards the middle here, and I am lighting up on my pressure. Hopefully you can see that. When I get to right here in the middle, I'm gonna get super, super light, like you almost can't even see it. Okay, and then I'm gonna start getting dark again. Okay, and what we're creating is a gradient plus a highlight. Okay, so we went from dark to light and back. And so this is one way you can create things to make them look three-dimensional by adding a light source. So we're suggesting that there is some light shining right here in the middle of this drawing. Okay, so that's a gradient plus a highlight. And we're gonna use this skill in our homework tonight. So if you wanna practice that one again, you can totally do that. Okay, now we're gonna get into some colors again. So changing colors. So far we've practiced quite a few different types of gradients, but now we're gonna start using color with another color and not just with black and white or with pressure. All right, so which colors do I want to use together? Well, we can go back to these two because we know that primary colors, okay, so combination of blue and green, yellow and, blue and yellow are gonna make green, yellow and red are gonna make orange, okay, and blue and red are gonna make purple. So those are always some safe combinations if you remember from our oil pastel discussion. And we'll go more in depth with the primary colors here in our next few units actually. But you could also pick colors that are similar, like green and blue. Those will look pretty nice together, okay? You could do red and purple. Those are pretty closely related. So pick some colors that are kind of either similar or just pick primary colors. Okay, I'm going to do green and blue because they are still sitting next to me. So, all right, what I'm going to do is similar to this gradient. We've done it before. I'm just going to start laying down some color here. And you can show value change if you want, but you don't have to. I'm just going to kind of lay about half of this down with blue. Then I'm going to switch and come from the other direction and lay down some green. And instead of getting a whole new color this time, we're going to get kind of a variation of these two colors, which is called blue-green. It's a tertiary color. All right, and that actually is kind of nice. So I might come back over this with my blue so I can kind of see it better. Okay, so I'm kind of mixing my colors together here. And hopefully you can see that new kind of blue-green color that's forming in between them. Now, if I wanted this to work out even better, I can take my paper towel and smooth some of that so that we're hiding our lines, making it look a little softer, okay? So we've got green and then we've got blue-green here in the middle, okay? Hopefully you can see that. And then I might go soften it back up again if it's looking too dark. All right, so color to color. Okay, then you can just do layering all together. So this time I'm showing 3 different colors. But if I wanted to, I could take, let's do orange. Nope, I'm lying to you. I'm sorry, we're gonna do yellow. Okay, so let's say I wanna just lay down some yellow here. And I'm gonna do a cross-hatching technique with this, just to kind of see what it's like. You could try out a different one. You've learned hatching, you've learned cross-hatching, circular, okay, stippling. You could try out some different ones if you wanted. I'm gonna take my red. So I was going this way with the yellow. Now I'm gonna go this way. Okay. And so I'm layering my colors directly on top of each other. Now I did the yellow color first because I'm gonna end up doing another layer of it. So you're not limited to one layer, but hopefully you can kind of start to see some of the orange popping through. So I'm gonna take my yellow and I'm gonna go back over this. Okay, I'm pressing a little harder this time, kind of blending the colors. So you can kind of create a multi-dimensional looking background this way, instead of just having solid backgrounds. Okay, so I'm kind of leaving mine intentionally kind of scratchy. And if I wanted to smooth it out, then I could just keep layering the layers until I kind of get a nice even layer. But I like the fact that I can see all the different colors. I think it's kind of dynamic. But it's really just up to your personal taste. And it's okay if you're not staying in the boxes here, because I definitely am not. Okay, so hopefully you can kind of see all the fun that's happening with those colors. All right. So one last thing I want to mention, okay, before you do your homework tonight. And again, the homework is going to kind of combine these skills, but it's really going to focus on this highlighting skill, okay? Impressing. Is that good or bad? So let me show you what impressing is, and then I'll show you how to do it. So impressing is, have you ever, pressed really dark, let's see here, like I've drawn a really dark line, okay? And I don't want this line anymore. So I go to erase it. And I actually get most of the line, the pencil lead, to go away. Okay, but then when I go to color over it, you end up still seeing the lines underneath it. This has probably happened to you before, okay? This is called impressing. It can be a good thing. It can be a bad thing. Depends on your point of view. So can you see how those lines are still showing up after I erase them? Okay, here's 2 more examples of it. So that's what we call impressing. Sometimes it happens unintentionally and it's a bad thing, or it could be a good thing. You could make a really cool design with it. So what I'm gonna do is take a mechanical pencil You could use a pen that pops up so you wouldn't actually get the ink. You could use the end of a pen cap. You could really, you know, here's a pen. I pushed it in. That would work. You could really press with almost anything that's kind of plastic and sharp. You don't want to do anything metal because it might actually cut the paper. Okay, so I'm just going to use this. I put the lead up, and I'm going to just make some kind of like little wavy lines here, maybe. I'll make a couple lines this way. I'm kind of just making up a design. So I did some straight lines here, actually. I changed my mind. And I'll do some wavy lines down here. And I'm pressing pretty hard. I can actually see my lines already. Now, a bummer about this is you can't erase it. So can you see how I've dented the paper there? Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is take a color, and I don't want to press super hard because I actually want to see these lines. All right. Can you see them? I can. So that's impressing. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing, especially when you want to use white, okay? Because white colored pencil on white paper doesn't show up the best. Sometimes it blends with our colors, but if I wanted to have like stars in my background or like a moon that I wanted to keep white, but I wanted to kind of shade everything else, you could do this technique and that area would stay white. Okay, so those are the 8 techniques we're gonna practice today.